Hi, and welcome back to my channel. Good effort, Meg. Today I am doing a special project for a friend of mine that lives in Japan. They reached out to me and asked if I could help them make some amigurumis of their town mascots. And so today I'm going to be making, and bear with me with my pronunciation, Tamanabo-ya and Buruberi-na. And they were created around about 2012. So I asked my friend to create a little bit of a write-up with explaining who these mascots are and what they represent. So I'm going to read that to you guys now. So bear with me with some of these pronunciations. I will do my very best. So they are the mascots for Iwate town in the Iwate prefecture. And a prefecture in Japan is, if you live in the States, it's similar to, I understand it as kind of like a state, which is located on the Tohoku region of Japan, which is the northern part of the main island of Honshu, about 1% of travelers ever visit. Iwate town's main crops are cabbages and blueberries. The town is the #1 grower of cabbage in all of Tohoku. As for the blueberries, they are always sweet and delicious, making them some of the best in Iwate. If you go visit Iwate town, you can enjoy both crops in delicious and unique ways, such as cabbage nihonshu, which is sake or alcohol, blueberry parfaits, soft cream, both in blueberry and cabbage flavors, and more. All towns and cities in Japan have a mascot that represents who they are within the nation. This is not only promoted domestic and international tourism, but it helps teach people about the local community and culture. So thank you so much for writing me that description. I hope I made the proper pronunciations of all those words. But my friend sent me a little bit of reference material of the mascots that I could use to try to crochet and come up with a pattern for each of these mascots. So I'm going to post the patterns as I did them in the description down below. So if you yourself would like to use these maybe as a base pattern for something you're working on, or make these Iwate town mascots for yourself because they are really adorable, then that'll be available for you down in the description. I don't claim to own these designs, obviously, and so I wanted to make this pattern available for anybody to just kind of celebrate Iwate town, and maybe it'll encourage you to read more up on Iwate and the prefecture, as well as different areas around Japan that maybe are less traveled by tourists. So, but yeah, without further ado, let's get going. So for the list of materials, these are the color yarns you're gonna need. I picked a cream, purple, magenta, lime green, and kind of a grass green color. You're gonna need a yellow color and a pink. I forgot to show, but you will also need black. I purchased a set of oval safety eyes. I have a set of round, but these mascots have oval eyes, so I picked this up on Amazon. For all the pieces and parts, I used a 3.125mm crochet hook. And of course, you're going to need a darning or tapestry needle for stitching. So we will start with the body or the head of this little mascot, and I started off with a magic ring. So you go under, over, twist around, and then you'll yarn over, pull through to kind of lock that magic ring in. And then we will single crochet 6 times in that magic ring and pull the tail tight. And that is how you do a magic ring. We'll do this a couple of times throughout the video, so don't worry, you'll get plenty of practice with this type of stitch. And I'm using the same pattern for both of the mascots. So they came out roughly the same size. I think my tension was a little bit different on one of these guys, but yeah, they should come out the same. So now we have our magic ring. Don't forget to mark your stitch because we will be working in the round. So it'll be very easy to lose track of your starting and stopping stitch. So make sure you have a stitch marker to keep track of that. So for round 2, we are going to do an increase in each of those stitches. And an increase is just a set of single crochets in a single stitch. So you're just going to work 2 single crochets into each of those stitches. So at the end of this round, you'll have 12 stitches. For the increasing rounds, it's essentially kind of like a little pattern, and you can see that in the description below. But for like round 3, it'll be do an increase and then a single crochet. For round 4, it'll be an increase, and then the next 2 stitches will just be single crochets, and then you'll do an increase again. And for round 5, you'll do an increase, and then you'll do 3 single crochets in the next 3 stitches. And you'll kind of keep repeating this process all the way until you get to where you have 9 single crochets with an increase. And in the pattern down below, if you see 2 stars, that just means you're going to repeat what's in between those 2 stars for the entirety of the round. So basically until you get to your stitch marker. So this is what it's going to look like when you get to the round 11, which is increase 9 single crochet. So at this point, we are going to work just single crochets in every single stitch. And so that should be approximately 66 stitches that you're doing. So 66 single crochets, and you're going to do that for 12 rounds. So nothing special here, just insert your hook, yarn over, pull through. Insert hook, yarn over, pull through. Now that we finished those single crochet rounds, we're going to start our decrease. Here you can see I put my hook in between the stitches. I just think it creates less of a hole that way. So you have 3 pieces of yarn, and then you're going to yarn over and pull through all 3 of those loops. And that's how I do my decrease. And now we're going to work in descending order. So here I'm doing 9 single crochets, and then I will do another decrease. And then for the next round, we'll do a decrease and then 8 single crochets. So similar to how we did the increasing, just in descending order. So here you can see how I do my decrease again. So I just split that stitch. For the next 2 stitches, yarn over and pull through all 3 loops. Now don't forget to add your safety eyes. So I kind of just guesstimated roughly where I wanted to put my safety eyes. I didn't really count stitches, so I kind of was just using my fingers to figure out, oh, like this will roughly be the middle. And I went like 1 or 2 rows up from the middle of the sphere that we're making, and I just kind of plopped my safety eye in there. Good thing about these, before you put the backing on them, they're really easy to take out and maneuver. And I think I put like 7 stitches in between my 2 safety eyes, and then just add the backing. So just make sure you add these while you could still get your hand in there. I don't really have like a science on when to stop. And just keep working around. Don't forget to start stuffing. And that's the head and the body. Nice and squishy. So cute. And here is the other mascot. So I use the same pattern for both of these guys. So now we're going to start on the arm. So we're going to start off with a magic ring with 6 single crochets. So exactly like how we started with the head body. And in round 2, we will do increases in each of those single crochets. So that is just 2 single crochets in each of those first ones. And then we're going to work 3 rounds of just single crochets. And on the 6th round, we will do a repeating pattern between decreasing and a single crochet. And then lastly, 1 more round of single crochet. And we're going to make 2 of these guys. So a fairly simple pattern. And so if you're making both mascots, you're gonna need 4 of them. Now the legs are even easier than the arms. So basically I just made the same exact pattern, except I did not do that 1 decreasing round. So this is just the magic ring and the increase round, and then 5 rounds of just single crochets. And again, make 4 of these if you're making both mascots, only 2 if you just need 2. Now we are going to make the cabbage leaf, and this was probably the trickiest for me to figure out, but I started off with a chain with 3 stitches on it, and then you're going to start in the 2nd chain from the hook and just put a single crochet in there, and then in that last stitch I did 3 increases, so that's just 3 single crochets into this stitch. And then we will turn. Always make sure that your leading yarn, which is the one there in my left hand, stays behind the project that you're working on, because we're going to turn it and then we're going to single crochet basically until you get to the very last stitch, and then do another 3 increase. And we're going to repeat that pattern of like turning, single crochet until the very last stitch, increase 3, turn, single crochet until you get to the very last stitch, increase. And once you get to row 7 and 8, just note that I just did a regular increase, so just the 2 single crochets in the single stitch rather than the 3. And essentially what I'm trying to create here is kind of a wavy pattern, and I was inspired by the way that I learned how to make Snorlax, if you saw my video on that, and how to make his belly. And you can see here I'm doing row 11, which is to skip a stitch and then single crochet 13, and then skip that second to last stitch and single crochet, and then we turn. And we'll do 2 rows of that, and that's basically the entire pattern. So there's no decreases really, you're just skipping stitches rather than performing a decrease. And once you get all the way done with through row 36, I did a edge single crochet all the way around, and just make sure these are spaced pretty evenly, and that's what it should look like. Now for the nose, this is a super simple pattern. So I just did a magic ring with 6 stitches, just like we've done for all the previous. And then I just did 6 single crochet all the way around. So 1 single crochet per stitch. And that made a cute little, almost like little button nose. Look how cute that is. Now we are going to make the leaf. So I started off in the darker green color, the grass green, and I chained 11 stitches. And similar to what we did before, after we chain, we will work starting in the 2nd chain from the hook. So you're essentially just like skipping 1. And then we will start with a slip stitch in that. And a slip stitch is yarn over and pull through. So you don't yarn over again or pull through. So that's just kind of that difference. And then I worked a single crochet in the next stitch, a half double crochet in the next stitch, and a half double crochet in the next stitch, and then a double crochet in the next two, and then half double in the next two, single slip stitch, in that order. And a half double crochet is you yarn over before you put your hook through the stitch, and then you yarn over and you pull through all three. And a double crochet, you will yarn over, put your hook into the stitch, and then you'll yarn over and pull through two of the loops, yarn over again and pull through the last two loops. So that's the difference between those two. Now, when you're done with the dark green, you are going to attach your light green color. And I don't think it would really matter which end you started on, but I just kind of started on this end. And I learned to twist my yarn around like this and then yarn over and pull through. And I'm counting that as the slip stitch. So then from that point, start with your single crochet and then move on to your half double crochet, half double crochet, etc. That's all I did to make this cute little two-toned leaf. Came out quite well. I was actually really surprised. That was basically my first try to do something like this, and I was very, very happy. Now we are going to do the bow, and you're going to make this piece twice. So I started off with chaining 6, and just like before, we will start in the second chain from the hook, and working down the line, we will do a single crochet, half double crochet, half double crochet, single crochet, and then turn and work those same stitches on the other side, and it'll make kind of this oval shape. And again, make 2 of these, and then when you stitch them onto your amigurumi, it kind of creates this cute little bow shape. Again, I just kind of came up with my own method of doing this, so I'm sure other people have come up with better ways, but I was trying my best to get a specific look, and I'm very happy with the way that this particular shape came out. The last thing we need to make are the cheeks, and these are by far the easiest. So I just did a magic ring with 6 single crochets, and then I joined it at the end, so it's just like a slip stitch into that first, and that's it. And make 2 of these. So here are all the pieces all laid out so you know who gets what. But we're ready to start stitching. So this part of my process I don't typically show just because it usually takes me a while, but I had a viewer who specifically requested if I could show the way that I stitch on the parts that I crochet. So I don't have a specific technique. I just kind of hold the pieces where I think they should go, and I kind of point the tail part where I think I would like it to go, and then I kind of go and split the stitch similar to how I do my decreases, and I'll go up one stitch, down the other stitch, and then I'll go through the body that I am stitching to, and I try to go either right under where the piece will fall or like just underneath the piece, so you won't see that stitch like at all. You can see here again, I just go up and then down, and then I go through the body. And you know, I've tried doing this before. Some people recommend using pins to hold the pieces where you want them to go. I am terrible with sharp objects and I found when I tried that method, I kept poking myself. You know, needles would get stuck in my fingers and it just overall was unpleasant. So this is the way that I do it. I don't, you know, pin them all on and kind of move them around. I will say I am not the best at this, but this is the way that I do it and it works for me. And it's just kind of the technique that I've stuck with. And you know, there are definitely people who do this better than me, but once I get it on where I want it, I will put the yarn essentially through almost on the other side of the body or the piece that I'm sewing it to, and I just kind of pull it taut and then I will snip it. So I don't, you know, I probably should tie a knot or something, but I just don't. So again, just take my technique with a grain of salt. I am not the best at this, but I did want to show you guys how I do this process. So hopefully if you're new to crocheting, this is a technique that, you know, could work for you. But it's really just trial and error. I've done this before where I'll stitch something on, I don't like it, so I'll take it off and do it all over again. But that's how I do my stitching for amigurumis. Nothing special. So I'm super happy with the way that these mascots came out. Holy cow. So this is actually the first time that I've come up with an original design, and I mean design in terms of the pattern, not that I created these characters, but I've never kind of free-handed and wrote out a pattern for an amigurumi before. The closest I came to was the little sweater that I made for Penny, and I am growing in confidence on creating these amigurumis, but I'm just so happy with the way that these guys came out. They're so cute. Well, I hope that my friend really likes them. And I hope that if you're watching this video and maybe you're from the Iwate prefecture, this is exciting for you. I hope that you decide to stick around. But I had a blast doing this. It was definitely a challenge, but I am growing in my crochet confidence by doing these sorts of projects. And I hope that me doing this encourages you to give it a try, and maybe you've been nervous to step out there and try something new. So just see that you can do it. I referenced a lot of patterns that I've crocheted in the past to kind of create these little guys. So I know if I can do it, you guys can do it too. And if you're new to crocheting, I hope this is encouraging for you as well. Again, if you like this sort of content, please consider sticking around. As a reminder, subscribing, liking, and commenting on my channel is completely free. It is not a monetary thing. You will not pay any money towards me whatsoever. But otherwise, I will see you guys in the next video.